Let's jump into my top picks for fighter thralls that you'll want to seek out in the Age of War Chapter 4. Now, if you're looking for a more comprehensive list, you can check out Xavier's spreadsheet. It's linked in the description of this video, and it covers every single thrall. But these are the ones that I picked out. One thing that I want to cover real quick in case you didn't know, the Tier 4 named bearers have received a balance patch, and that means that a lot of them have been nerfed into the ground. I'm going to give you an example with the most egregious being Paylor the Well-Traveled. Paylor comes out of the Wheel of Pain with 485 total hit points. He has a melee damage modifier of 0.66 and a ranged damage modifier of 0.66. He gains 21.9 hit points per point in vitality. So the Paylor that you're looking at on the screen right now, with a total of 769 hit points, is fully leveled to level 20. If we take a look at his stats, he got 31 in strength, 22 plus 3 in agility, 28 in vitality, and 28 plus 5 in grit. You can see the vitality bonus points at 613. This guy is going to die in most situations when you take him out to fight with him. Now, with that being said, I'm going to give you my picks, and if you vary from my picks, you are going to have varying results because the race matters when it comes to bearers now. It used to be that bearers were all in this same category. Now the race is absolutely important. So jumping into my picks for bearers, we have the Kushite Bearer 1, the Kushite Bearer 2, the Kushite Bearer 3, and then it's actually the Kushite Bearer 4, which is Cathebria Featherstep. Don't forget to give this video a like so that we can reach more people right here on YouTube. Let's jump into the stats for the Kushite Bearer 1. Again, these are all leveled up to 20. The Kushite Bearer 1 comes out of the Wheel of Pain with 1,000 hit points. Its melee and ranged damage modifier is only 0.175. So this guy isn't going to do a whole lot of damage, but as you can see, he has 9,803 hit points because he gains 231.67 hit points per point in vitality. So if you're just looking for something that can withstand a fight and likely live through it, this is a decent choice. Now, one thing about the Bearer 1s is they only have 2 rows of total inventory. So it's almost just as bad as taking a pet with you because they don't have a whole lot of inventory space. Moving on to the Kushite Bearer 2, you can see he has 5,771 total hit points. He came out of the Wheel of Pain with 1,100 hit points. His melee and ranged damage modifier is 0.285, and he gains 166.85 hit points per point in vitality. Now, he does have an extra row in his inventory, so he is going to be able to carry more than the previous one. So this guy is going to be better than taking a pet. Moving on to the Kushite Bearer 3, he starts out with 1,200 hit points. He has a melee and ranged damage modifier of 0.4. He gains 133.99 hit points per point in vitality. And you can see he has 7,095 total hit points. Now, he did get some pretty sweet perks for vitality. Of course, you can always re-roll those perks with the Potion of Rebirth once you've learned it through sorcery. And you can see he has 4 rows of inventory space, so he can carry double what a pet would be able to carry. Moving on to our named option, Cathebria Featherstep is going to start with 1,300 hit points. She has a melee damage modifier and a ranged damage modifier of 0.5. She gains 93.37 hit points per point in vitality. There is no other named bearer that gains that many hit points. All the other named bearers are going to gain less hit points per point in vitality. Now, when you initially look at Cathebria Featherstep's inventory, you can see it only shows 4 rows of inventory. However, as you load up her inventory, it will expand so that you can scroll through her other inventory spots. I went ahead and filled up her inventory, so as you can see, there are 5 total rows of inventory space for the named bearers. Looking at the level 3, as you can see, it is full, and if I try to add more, it tells me not enough inventory space, so the named bearer gets 1 row more of inventory capacity. For those of you that are wondering where to find a bearer, you can find them at any of the locations that spawn bearers. So this particular spot right here could be any of the bearers that can spawn in the exiled land. And we are down here at River Watch, but there's another spot up at the Mounds of the Dead. There's another spot that happens to be right over here. There's another spot way over here. So any place that you find a bearer has the chance to spawn a Kushite bearer or a Cathebria Featherstep. Honestly, if you're looking for something to just carry around a lot of loot, I recommend the camel because you do get 4 rows of inventory capacity. You do lose out on the ability to jump, but this is a great way to store a lot of stuff or bring a lot of stuff back to your base and have a mode of transportation while having other followers follow you. So you can have a fighter following you that does good damage and has high hit points, and then use the camel to transport a lot of resources. Moving on to fighters, we're going to look at the Devotee. Now, the Devotee has kind of flown under the radar. These guys are a guaranteed spawn up at the volcano, so you can find them on a regular basis up there. Now, they come out of the box with 1,756 hit points. Most of them have a melee and ranged damage modifier of 1.8. The Harkanian and the Shemite have a ranged damage modifier of 2.7. There is no way for you to tell in-game without admin capabilities to tell which race you have. So the way I'm going to put this is that they all have a 1.8 melee and ranged damage modifier, and if you end up with one that has a higher ranged damage modifier, that's not going to affect you in a negative way, so you don't need to worry about it. Other than that, these guys are all carbon copies of themselves, and they gain 117.74 hit points per point in vitality. That is one of the highest that I've seen in an NPC that you can get on a consistent basis. Yes, there are outliers out there that are going to have higher hit points gained per point in vitality, but there's no easy way to get them. They may come in a purge or they may come in a surge, so this is my go-to because it's easy to find on the map on a consistent basis. Now you can see this one has 4,228 hit points, this one has 6,583, this one has 4,110, this one has 5,405, this one has 4,934, this one has 3,875, this one has 5,994, and this one has 4,699. Now, all of them are leveled to 20, but I didn't go back and use the rebirth potion on them. I just wanted to give you some idea of how many hit points they can gain when leveling them up. You should also keep in mind that all of the devotees are slow levelers, so it is going to take you some time to get them leveled up. For the devotees, you're going to come up to the volcano. The Shrine of the Oracle is the location that I like to hunt them. You can see there is a devotee there, and then there's a devotee there as well. Moving on to the last one in my list today, this is the Cimmerian Berserker. I'm sure none of you are surprised that this is in my list. I like the Cimmerian Berserker because it has been unchanged and it's consistent through a lot of patches, and it happens to have one of the highest melee damage modifiers in game. The Cimmerian Berserker starts out with 2,549 total hit points. It has a melee damage modifier of 2.24 and a ranged damage modifier of 2.08. They gain 35.57 hit points per point in vitality. Now, what they lack in vitality, they make up for in damage, so as long as you're paying attention, you shouldn't have to worry about your Cimmerian Berserker. The Cimmerian Berserker is always walking around in the pools of water down below the Mounds of the Dead, and you can see that guy right there. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for their continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. Don't be out of whack. There's another video on the screen right now that if you go and watch, you can check out more of my content.